Good morning, Oracles. I hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. And for those of you here in the US, I hope you're staying safe and enjoying the F's, the family, friends, fun, food, fireworks, and freedom that we have here in the US. 4th of July weekend, Independence Day. So hope you guys are all having fun. I was just doing some thinking about the production and delivery numbers from yesterday. I know I just gave it a little time to kind of soak in and see what's going on and chatting with you guys in the comments. And you brought up some good points. And, you know, despite the fact that, yes, it was a Q1 miss, we're down below Q1. We knew this, we expected it. Shanghai being down for over a month was definitely going to cause that. And then the slower ramps of Berlin and Austin, just brought us down. But realistically, the downtime in Shanghai lost us about 90 to 100,000 vehicles produced. However, we only came up 48,000 vehicles shy of Q1 numbers. So that just shows the pace of the exponential growth that we are on, because we know that Berlin and Austin were not making up, the difference that was down in Shanghai. They're not anywhere near that kind of ramp pace yet. Fremont picked it up a little bit, but even then, they're basically capped out. There's only so much faster they can produce. So we know that they're going to continue to grow, but it's going to be in smaller increments. So the fact that Shanghai was able to come back online as fast as they did and push for those June record production numbers tells us what we need to know for the future. Because for the future, we are looking at massive exponential growth for Q3, Q4, and beyond. I mean, think about the fact that just this one factory in Shanghai was able to produce that much that fast. Wait till Berlin and Austin get up to speed and you have 3 factories pumping out vehicles that fast. And so yes, while we were down quarter over quarter, again, this was to be expected, we were still up 46% year over year for the first half. And when we're coming into a time where we're going to be seeing most likely an earnings recession, but we've got Tesla who, based on year over year numbers, will probably not get into an earnings recession because they have such exponential growth that they are seeing right now. And so for when it comes to Tesla, it all comes down to production. We talk about this all the time. It's about production. Because they are in such high demand, literally they're selling every single car that they can produce. So to them, it's just a matter of if they can produce more, they're going to sell more, at least for the time being. So yes, a few years down the road when they're producing 4+ million vehicles a year, maybe we'll revisit it at that point. But nobody knows the future. So at this point right now, they can literally sell every vehicle they can produce, which tells me that every single quarter they're going to come in with higher and higher revenues. And even if it's not quarter over quarter, like they may be lower than Q1 most likely, but when it comes to year over year, which is where you're going to determine whether you're in an earnings recession or not, Tesla is not going to be bothered by that because year over year, again, the first half, they're up 46%. And even with lower Q2 numbers, Tesla was still up 26% over Q2 of 2021. So again, we're not going to be in that earnings recession. So Tesla may be, and I can't guarantee this, but they're most likely going to be immune from an earnings recession just because they're in the middle of an exponential growth curve. And so yes, for some, Q2 numbers were disappointing because we weren't anywhere near where we were for Q1. But when you take a step back and look at it and the reasons why, the COVID lockdowns over in Shanghai were out of Tesla's control. There's nothing they could do about that. But what they could control was how they handled the situation coming out of it. And like I said, they went from down 90 to 100,000 vehicles and split that number in half. So they were only realistically down about 48,000 vehicles produced for Q2 over Q1. So yes, it was down, but think about all the headwinds that they had faced and the fact that they were able to make that up. What are they going to be able to do when they aren't facing these kind of headwinds? Seriously, they've been facing massive headwinds for the last 2 years with supply chain issues, lockdowns, COVID, all sorts of stuff, and they still have outperformed most of the time. And this is the first quarter where they actually slid back. But again, with record high June production, just shows that going forward, they are on the right track to be able to continue making record high numbers of vehicles quarter by quarter. And yesterday I took some time to break down in a spreadsheet all of the deliveries and production numbers for Tesla quarter by quarter from 2013 until now. Put that spreadsheet over on my Patreon if you want to check it out over there. And in doing so, I noticed 2 big things. One, the second half of the year for pretty much every single year has been very strong for production, stronger than the first half. So we are looking at, just historical patterns. We're most likely going to see a significantly stronger second half than a first half we're going into right now. The other thing I noticed was, 2013, 2014, 2015, Tesla was facing supply chain issues for the Model S. Hey, guess what? Maybe that's why they're so good at handling supply chain issues now, because they've dealt with it in the past. They've seen these things in the past. They were at the mercy of their suppliers, and they didn't want to deal with that anymore. So they took things into their own hands and started doing most of the stuff themselves, which is why they are so vertically integrated. So the challenges that Tesla had faced in the past are part of the reason why they're so successful now when it comes to navigating these issues. And looking at the 2 quarters that we have coming up, GM is stating that they're foreseeing some supply chain issues continuing to get worse going forward. Well, then I took a step back and thought, well, is Tesla going to get hit by this as well? Tesla has stated that they're expecting some supply chain issues to keep on persisting, and that they're seeing prices going to be going up. But my thoughts on this are, because Tesla has been dealing with this for so long, not to say the legacy auto hasn't, I'm sure they have as well, but Tesla, for EV specific parts that they, and supplies that legacy auto hasn't even started getting into until recently, Tesla has wonderful, at minimum 10-year relationships with many of these suppliers. So I would much rather have Tesla have great relationships with their suppliers to be able to produce more vehicles than for Tesla to have great relationships with analysts or people in mainstream media to make them sound better. This is what Elon talks about all the time, which is perception versus reality. The reality is Tesla has things going in their direction. They are moving forward. They've got supply chain issues solved better than most everyone else. The perception is Legacy Auto has this solved as well. And who knows? Maybe Legacy Auto will figure it out in the second half. Nobody knows the future. Nobody can predict it. All we can do is take the information we're given right now and make the best decisions and choices we can for the future. And so based off of all these pieces of information that we have, I'm looking at Tesla for Q3 and Q4. In order to hit their 50% year-over-year goals, they're going to need to produce and deliver 839,000 more vehicles. That would put them at just over 1.4 million vehicles delivered for the year. So my forecast, rough forecast right now, I'm still waiting on the Shanghai numbers to come in, are going to be 380,000 vehicles produced and delivered in Q3 and 475,000 vehicles for Q4. My push goal, and I would love to see them hit this, would be 400,000 and 500,000. Honestly, I would love to see if Tesla can hit more vehicles produced and delivered in the second half of this year than they did for all of last year, which is 936,000. That would be outstanding. Whether they can actually hit it or not, don't know. That would just be a really fun number to see for exponential growth purposes. And looking at the Q2 financials that we're going to be getting on July 20th, it's going to be looking at, profitability. Obviously, we know, Elon has said that they're burning billions of dollars of cash in these 2 new factories in Berlin and Austin. So let's see what they can do to offset these ramps. And then going forward, you have to remember that the more vehicles they produce out of these factories, the more they're going to be paying off all of that, and they're going to be actually profitable soon enough. And hopefully maybe we'll get some more clarity on the Q2 earnings call as far as what they have been burning for cash, because they did say their CapEx spending for the next few years is going to be between $5 to $7 billion. So if they're still within that ballpark, then I think we'll be in fine shape. It's a matter of, did they go over that for these 2 ramps? Again, we won't know till we get to Q2 earnings and figure that out. But as we go forward, it's not going to matter, because the more vehicles that they produce and deliver out of those factories, the less expensive it's going to be. Once they get themselves up to ramp speed, those initial ramp costs are going to be gone. We saw that happen with Shanghai. Now we have 2 factories doing it. And then we saw that as soon as Shanghai came out of their ramp cost phase and the initial ramp, they became extremely profitable in a very short amount of time. Now we have 2 new factories that are even more efficient going in this direction. So by 2023, late 2023, maybe early 2024, they're probably going to be in a situation very much like Shanghai, and we're going to be just a pure profit machine at that point. And so just putting all of this together, looking at Q2 numbers, look at that split that we have coming up. I have a feeling we're going to split at the end of August. Looking at how we're going to be going into a potential earnings recessions for many companies, we may be having, inflation still staying a little bit higher, the FOMC meeting at the end of the month. A lot of people are thinking the S&P is going to come down to 3,400. If that's the case, Tesla is inevitably going to come with it, because Tesla is following the macro environment in these times. It doesn't matter what Tesla puts out for news. When it comes down to it, if they put out good news, maybe they get a run, but it's very short-lived. And anything that's even or negative usually pulls the stock down. That's just the reality of the situation we're in right now. So if that's the case, going into a potential pullback after Q2 earnings prior to the split, we could see some absolutely amazing buying opportunities for Tesla. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys think we're going to see for production and deliveries out of Q3 and Q4? Do you think Tesla is still going to be able to hit that 50% year-over-year growth? And I want to apologize. There was apparently the link for my Discord is not working, so I fixed it. Should be fixed. If you check the link in the description down below today, let me know for sure if it's working or not, because I adjusted it and it was definitely different. So I apologize. I was clicking on it. I had no problems, but it may be because I'm already in it. So let me know if you guys have any issues with that. And I also wanted to address another piece, which is I've gotten some pushback from some of you about some of my titles, maybe being a little more clickbaity. And I do apologize. That's not my goal. One of the things that I learned early on is you guys appreciate no BS. I love that about you guys. You guys want it just direct. You don't want me to throw fluff out there. Obviously I'm a Tesla bull and I'm going to present myself that way because that's where I'm getting my insights and that's where I feel we're going. But I do try to be realistic and I do try to see, the negatives as well, because you have to recognize those. And when it comes to the headlines, I try to put out there, I try to dance the line. It's tough being a YouTube content creator because in order to catch the algorithms right, you need to use certain words, which I don't pay for to find these things. So I just kind of put out there what I think is going to catch people's attention, but I try to be realistic as well. I try not to do that. So I know yesterday I put out, record high production for June. I mean, that's literally what Tesla said was record high production for June. I just reiterated what they said. So for me, that seemed like a good, eye-catching headline to be able to put out there. So again, I really would love to just put out there just basic, generic, bland stuff for you guys to know, hey, this is the information I'm providing. But unfortunately, I also have to play the little bit of a game that YouTube has when it comes to that. So if it comes off a little bit clickbaity, I apologize. It's definitely not intentional. I'm doing it more because I'm trying to expand my audience and grow the channel. And that's how we do it as content creators. But I also want to, be respectful to you guys because, again, you don't take the BS and you like it straight up and real as it is. So thank you all for that. And again, if I do things like that, I appreciate the feedback on that. So I have no problems receiving it. But I will, voice my opinion and express to you guys why I did what I did. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. I do have the Discord chat, which is down in the link is in the description. Hopefully it works this time. And I do have a Patreon, which if you want to check that out and support the channel any further, that link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one and stay safe.